Welcome to Shane's Main Shop. Today we have to fix a seal on this toilet. Now it's not the seal you would normally think about, the one at the base, which is very common to have to replace. I wouldn't say very common, but more common than what we're going to be doing. We got to fix the seal between the tank and the bowl. So stick around and see how it's done. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is got to shut the water off. Because the shutoff down here on the toilet is not working, unfortunately, he went out and shut off underneath the house, the main shutoff for the house. We got a guest appearance here. Yeah, an assistant. So now that the water is shut off, we can start disassembling. Another thing he already did ahead of time was remove the water from the back of the tank. And you can already see that he's already done that work and removed the water. What we need to do is remove 3 screws. You can see that one there, and that one there at the base. And that's what bolts it to the bowl. And then the seal between the two is where the problem is. So we're going to set the camera off the side here and get working on this, and hopefully it comes apart relatively easy. And yeah, we just hooked this up to stop water from coming in so we could drain the water out before we had it shut off. That's all the reason why this is here, but this will be all out of the way once we're done. So to remove those bolts, they're underneath here. I don't know if you can see or not, but there's bolts on. There's 3 of them. You saw the ones inside, and on the back side here there's nuts that my brother is now currently removing. Now if it starts to turn, you may need a screwdriver inside here to hold the head of these from turning, but hopefully they come off relatively easy. So that's what we're doing now, to remove those 3 bolts, and then of course we have to remove the water feed line as well. Once you have those 3 bolts, or you can do this first, is you want to remove your water feed line, and that is right here. Now incidentally, this is the shutoff that's not working, and that's why we had to shut it off under the house, but we'll be removing this as well, and that's the last thing, and then we'll be able to take this tank off the back of the bowl. And you can pick these kits up. Now this one here is a universal tank seal kit. It comes with the seal itself and all new bolts and seals for the bolts as well, so you won't have to worry about reusing some of the old stuff, which is really probably not a good idea because you don't want to have to do this twice. We're going to take it apart, put new parts in here. It's not that expensive, and it's going to save you a lot of headaches down the road. This is coming pretty easy because I do have to replace this line. That's good. Hardly any water's coming out. So I'm going to lift this up. Yeah, so everything's empty out of it. All the bolts are out. Now you see the 2 are still there, but they're disconnected. And water's out. Water line is unhooked. Now you should be able to remove this tank without any problems. And there you have it. And we'll make sure we clean all that sediment out. We're on well water here, so you get some sediment and stuff. Even with filters, some gets by. So we'll get all that cleaned out, and then we'll also pull this gasket off here and replace it with the new one. So he's picked up a new shutoff here, and we're going to add this piece in so now we have a new shutoff of the toilet, so if we have any future problems we can shut the water off without having to shut the water for the whole house. Now to cut that PVC pipe off to add, basically we're going to be adding a valve in here. There's a couple ways you can do it. I'll put a link for one of these in the description. I got this one here, and we have this option here as well, and both of them work fine. And if you're going through heavier, thicker stuff, sometimes the ratcheting one gives you a little bit more torque, but either one of these will work fine. I'll put a link for them in the description. So my brother Mark's going to go ahead and cut that pipe off, and we'll be able to add this section in so we have the new shutoff that we were talking about. And this is a slip-on, like a shark bite style. It'll go on that existing pipe, and then this will screw to the base of the toilet tank. Let me just go, there we go. Guess I was doing it wrong. Alright, so that is off. I have to clean up around here, but before I do, this is the old seal. It's just actually just sort of setting in here. Which the seal, I guess, I mean, it looks in good shape, but they get harder over time and then they start to leak. But it's not a common issue really, but it does happen. You can see you've got everything cleaned up here, which makes it much easier to see if there's any problems when you start to reassemble this. Just take a few extra minutes, get it all cleaned up, and ready to start assembly. You're going to get a little bit of water no matter what, so you're going to have to do some mopping. Yeah, I've used a lot of shark bite stuff, but this one's a little bit different. To me, that piece is like the removal tool, but in the picture it does show that it's on there prior to putting it on the pipe. So we're just going to go ahead and see what happens here. Alright, so according to this, and this just slides, I guess comes off. Yeah, that's all there is to it. It's in there. You can see the new kit comes with...
That's the mechanic.
Oh.
This guy is not.
Pointing at me.
Yeah, that's the mechanic. No. I hate doing this stuff.
It's all right.
And you can include that in the video.
That's why it's Shane's main shop.
And not Mark. It's Mark's Short Fuse. I'm going to get my new channel name. Mark's No Fuse Channel. Why I have no fuse.
Well, when you don't like doing stuff, then your fuse does get. I don't enjoy this stuff necessarily, but if I don't have to do it, I don't mind. So yeah, in the new kit, you have the universal gasket. It just sits down in there. And where they're universal, they might not fit exactly the way you think they would, but it should work out just fine. And it does include a new bolt and bolt gaskets as well. So when you put that all back together, everything is going to be all nice and sealed up. You don't really want to use your old stuff at all. Just take the plunge, spend an extra few bucks. How much do you think this kit was, Mark? You bought it? Do you remember roughly?
I'll have to look online.
I'll look it up and I'll try to put one in the description for you. So if you need a kit, you can pick one up from online. Now's a good time to do some cleaning.
In theory, what should happen is my brother sets this down. You should be able to see the bottom of this going on that. I can try and guide it while you're doing that. Alright, and drop down. Alright, so that is on there. Now I gotta put the 3 bolts, and I guess those have to go pretty tight.
Yeah, it's going to squat that gasket down, but you're going to want to clean inside here, make sure there's no sand around where those gaskets are going to hit.
Yeah, so we're going to do that, and then we'll resume video here.
Where those bolts sit down, you want to make sure it's good and clean. There's no sand where the new gasket's going to sit down. You can feel the sand. Again, we have well water here, so you want to make sure those are all good and clean. You can see this is a universal kit. Now, we already have the gasket in there that came with it. Now, there's 3 bolts here, and then you have several other pieces here, washers and gaskets. And the setup for this particular application for this toilet is going to be the bolt. The gasket is on the inside of the bolt, on the inside of the tank. Then we'll have a washer, and then the nut. So that's how this setup was with the original. You got the bolt, and then this washer here, this gasket that's all dry rotted. And then on the bottom it had a metal washer and a nut. So we're just duplicating that. You're not seeing the rubber gasket here separate because it's still on the bolt here, just all kind of dry rotted and stuck on there. You can actually see I'm starting to peel it off. Some bowls require some spacing between, I believe, and that's why it gives you additional nuts, and I think some of them also might have a gasket on the bottom side or something. But we're not going to need it in this case. That's why this is universal. So you may have extra parts depending on your particular toilet setup. So this is what it's going to look like. You can see I have the first bolt in there with the gasket on top, underneath it I mean. And then underneath here, hopefully I can get this right. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but then the nut goes on. Well, first the washer and then the nut. But you don't want to over tighten these, but you do want it good and snug. The most important thing I can say to you in this process is to get all 3 bolts in and tighten them all evenly, you know, a little few turns at a time, and just keep working your way around. You don't want to crank one side down tight. You know, you're going to damage the gasket, and you can even crack the porcelain. Just take your time and tighten them all evenly and slowly squat that gasket down in place.
What I did is to at least get these as close to possible being tightened without doing extra work. The gasket underneath is new, so I was able to push down by hand, and where you can't see underneath is on each one I turned the nut as much as I could.
And one thing we did decide to do as well is the extra rubber gaskets that were included in the universal kit, is we did put them between the washer down here and the porcelain base of the toilet. I'm not sure if it's necessary. The old ones weren't on there like that, but by doing that, it gives you an extra little rubber thing against the porcelain, less chances of cracking your porcelain, you know, if you were to over tighten it.
Now, there's one thing that we may want to do is, when I tried turning, I realized I was turning the gasket inside here, which I may or not actually want to do. I want that to remain in place. So I'm going to have I will have one person hold to keep this from turning. I will use a tool underneath to tighten this up so it doesn't damage this seal with these gaskets up here.
So we have all of the bolts snugged up, and again, we took our time, went our way around, and then we made sure it was level and not you know, really leaning one way or the other or towards the back or the front, because it's very easy to do. If you do this, you'll be able to see as you're tightening it up, it's pulling one way or the other. The last thing we need to do is go ahead and reinstall the fill line here. I don't know if I have it or not. Hopefully you can see it on the video. If not, Swing it over to Mark's channel. What channel is this going to be on?
It's going to be on the new channel at the Everyday Life of Me.
The Everyday Life of Me. If you can't see what he's doing right now on mine, swing over to the Everyday Life of Me, and I know I can see it on his. So, anyway, so yeah, we're just reinstalling the feed line, which is the new line we just put on, so we have a new shutoff.
Oh, I broke it.
And now we'll have to buy a new one, because this is a good thing to learn, though. If you tighten these up, you don't want to over-tighten this plastic.
I think I broke it. I don't know.
We're just going to double-check it here, but these things happen.
No, maybe I didn't.
Hold it back down for a second.
If I heard
I did hear it, too, but again, this is good. We make mistakes, too. We're only human, but when you're doing this type of thing, just be careful, and you don't want to really put a wrench on this. Snug it up good, turn your water on, take a look at it, and see if it needs an additional snugging up.
Alright, so let's try that. And well, hello. What you doing? This is Sherlock. He's my other assistant. Well, I guess all we can do is try and see what happens. Alright, I'm going to put this back on.
Yeah, we got to put the float back on, so this will shut the water off when it's filling. So just a little bit about the insides of the back of the toilet. You have your flush valve arm here, which lifts up the drain flapper, allowing the water to flush out and flush out your bowl. Mark is installing the float valve. As this fills with water, this float will go up, and then it shuts off. It lifts this arm up here and shuts this valve off, so water stops flowing in. Some water flows directly here into the tank. Some water actually goes into here, which fills up the bowl, which Sherlock is currently sitting on. Incidentally, nobody can near this cat either. I feel very special. Only 2 people, right, Mark?
Yes.
Get near this cat? You and me.
The 2 of us.
And really, almost nobody else. If you were to come over, you'd never find this cat. He would hide. Anyway, alright, well, I guess I'm going to go down underneath and turn the water on. Alright, so I'm going to give you an interesting view while I go down underneath and turn on the valve. 2 thumps, everything's fine. If you continuously thump, I'm going to shut the water off.
Ready? Now there's no water coming in the tank yet, which means I have the shut-off down here. So actually the real test now is I'm going to turn this on.
Alright, so it's filling up. And what you want to make sure now is keep an eye around the base of the tank on the outside here and watch for leaks.
I'm not feeling any. This is this must be a design that once you reach a certain point, it locks in, so maybe you can't overturn it.
It could be. But you can see this is filling up nicely, just like it should.
And I'm checking underneath, and I mean the gaskets feel perfectly fine.
Yeah, so we're just reaching around underneath like you hear Mark talking about, and there's no moisture anywhere. You want to feel around this piece here all the way around the back to make sure nothing is running off the edge. I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you just put your finger on this and run all the way around the back and he checks the other side, you'll know, because water will land on this and start to run off the side if it's leaking. And then you want to reach completely underneath where the nuts are that you put installed and make sure there's nothing dripping on those. And we've checked that so far. We got a half full tank and we are not experiencing any leakage, so this is very exciting. Just a little backstory. This looks bad, trust me, we keep clean houses, but what happened was this toilet actually gave him problems months ago. But if you watch any of our other channels, and maybe on his channel, you'll know that we've had some family medical things going on with our parents. So he had another toilet in the house he's been using, and we just shut this toilet down. So this toilet's been dry for a long time.
So along with my assistant Sherlock, and
hey guys, you don't see animals on my channel very often.
So this now is all set. However, I'm not going to just going to set that on there. Oh, but we do know now everything flushes properly. Fills properly, is working fantastic. I will keep an eye on it to make sure there are no leaks. I did watch a number of videos on doing this toilet, and this is why I got the second person this is my brother, who has the longest fuse in the world. I have the shortest, I'll admit it.
Just swing over to Shane's main shop.
Yes.
I have a short fuse too, but not as short as yours.
I have no fuse. I admit it, I have no fuse, especially with stuff like this. But what I will tell you is I can hear that filling up much quicker than before and much better. I've done some cleaning out, so this is all set. I would say one person could have done this, it's possible. But to be honest with you, I would say just to make it easier, it's a two-person job. It just makes it so much easier, especially with that piece down here was so wobbly. Again, one person can do it, but two is easier. So I hope you liked the video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
All right. Thanks for swinging by Shane's Main Shop. Have a great day.